Hey everybody, how are you? John here. What's up? Just doing a quick video here today. So basically, I'm doing a video. I'm kind of driven to understand, what I see as kind of a problem with respect to Bitcoin, right? I say a problem because, in general, it's just Bitcoin keeps going up and up and up. And at the time of this recording, here we are. It is Saturday, February 20th and 2021 actually. Bitcoin just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And at this point, it's over, 50,000 US and now over a $1 trillion market cap. And, it's there's a lot of I do a lot of videos where it's a lot of billionaires talking, I'd say older billionaires talking about Bitcoin, and they don't even understand it, and a lot of folks don't understand it, and there are a lot of tech people that do understand it. So what I'm doing to solve this problem, is a problem I see in my view of really a lack of understanding of Bitcoin, is I'm going and I'm drilling down to somebody that was pretty much at the founding of the internet. And who else would that be other than Marc Andreesen, who, in case you don't know who Marc Andreesen is, Marc is one of the co-founders of the Netscape Navigator, the actual browser back in, according to him, the internet was invented in 1989, but people didn't really, discover what it was until 1991 to 1994, right? But he was one of the co-founders of the Netscape Navigator, which was really that first browser. And Marc Andreesen is very bullish, and he's also from a venture capital firm called Andreesen Horowitz. And he's very bullish on Bitcoin and everything related to crypto. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into what is a great fireside chat. And this clip is pretty old. It is actually from 2014. And what he's saying is in 2014, and it's a 45-minute fireside chat, but I'm going to go into really just some key moments in really the beginning, because I'm obviously not going to do a video here 45 minutes. But basically, they talk about Bitcoin, and he really relates the analogy back to the internet when he was part of founding Netscape Navigator in 1991 to 1994. And then also I'm going to take you into the portfolio and show you how many different companies in crypto Andreesen Horowitz have in their portfolio. And then also I'm going to break down the Andreesen Horowitz fund and how big it is. And then I'm going to talk to you about how the size of their crypto fund, so that you can see kind of what the percentage exposure that they have to the crypto world. So let's go ahead and we're going to hop in there, and I'm going to share with you what it is that Marc Andreesen and his partner Horowitz basically what they say about Bitcoin and crypto. Okay.
We think it's important to put Bitcoin sort of in context with where it actually is. And so Bitcoin's only existed for 5 years. The original paper came out in 2009. I think the relevant comparison point for Bitcoin is actually about 1993 for the consumer internet, or 1994 actually. And I say that because 1989 was actually when the web was actually first invented, when HTTP and HTML were invented. And there was this 5-year period between 89 and 94 where those of us who were working kind of on the early, at the time, NSFNet, and on early Mosaic, you could kind of use this stuff and you could see it. But it was really fringe and really new and really weird and really scary and really odd. And then, it kind of arrived as a fringe technology. And then, by the way, it arrived with fringe politics. And it arrived with fringe characters. And there were actually a whole cast of characters in that era, some of whom became actually very successful, some of whom are historical figures now. But there were a whole set of sort of fringe characters who had these sort of crazy ideas. Many of the actual technical ideas turned out to be absolutely correct. Many of the political ideas, are, depending on your point of view, turned out to be correct or not correct. And actually a fair number of people got disillusioned politically kind of through that process. But it worked. And there was this process of maturation through which it worked. And so I think that the critique of Bitcoin as sort of, being fringe technology accompanied by fringe politics and fringe characters, I don't know how you get fringe technology without fringe politics and fringe characters. You just have to go through a maturation process where you come out the other end and the fringe technology goes mainstream and gets widely adopted. Along the way, the fringe characters and the fringe politics tend to get alienated and then tend to move on to the next fringe technology, and the cycle repeats. but you don't get the new technologies from the mainstream. You get them from the fringe. And so I think this is a case study of that. Every single one of the kinds of things that you mentioned is an example of kind of how I think the early stages of this adoption cycle happen. So it would be really shocking if this kind of thing weren't happening. It would be very historically unusual if this kind of thing weren't happening. Speaking for us, we consider ourselves mainstream investors, and we consider ourselves in the business of building mainstream companies. We only invest in companies that want to be on the regulatory straight and narrow. And so the thing, like, we don't take any chances on for something that has, like, implications like Bitcoin. We would not take chances on somebody who's going to run an exchange the way that Mt. Gox got run or anything like that. Like, Coinbase is our big public investment, and they're extremely rigorous about being properly licensed. And so everything we do will kind of fall in that category.
So there you go. And then also Marc Andreesen, I believe, was somewhat recently named to the board of Coinbase, and Coinbase is, as he just said, is one of their big investments. But again, that was 2014, so 6 years ago. Basically, him talking about their investment in Coinbase. Actually, more than 6 years ago, because it might have been at some point during 2014, which here we are, February 2021, so getting close to 7 years ago, right? So okay, so the next step, we're going to go in and we're going to go into this fireside chat, and both Marc and his partner there, Horowitz, are going to talk a little bit. And then after that, I'm going to take you into showing you the portfolio and talking about the actual money that they have invested in their fund relative to their total fund, to really highlight to you, what their percentage exposure is to Bitcoin and crypto, right? And the point is that obviously you can see that that Marc Andreesen and his firm Andreesen Horowitz are obviously very bullish, extremely bullish on Bitcoin and crypto, and are basically saying that at that time, in 2014, it was like the internet, around 1994. So here we are at the time of this recording. It is again February 20th, 2021. And so if you actually do that math, you figure 14, so 6 years ago, basically 1994, so 94 plus 6 is 2000. So we could be really, at the internet of 2000, right now for Bitcoin and crypto. And, there's a lot of companies, if you had invested in the right internet companies back in 2000, after the dot-com crash, obviously you would have done, certainly quite well with respect to, the behemoths now, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, and all the big internet giants, right? So, and another part of the problem too is, I think that people that are from the non-technology space, will look at Bitcoin and say, okay, well, what is Bitcoin? And even I've always said that I'm neutral. Spending a lot of energy really trying to understand the technical, mechanics and everything related to Bitcoin and blockchain. But basically, it's really a volatile, exotic, and let's say non-productive. At least at the time of this recording, it's non-productive. As time goes on, people might be able to learn and discover what the what it is that's productive about Bitcoin. But as of right now, it's non-productive, right? It's a non-productive asset and an alternative asset to gold. So it's really important to go in and understand from the advanced technical community, what it is, what is Bitcoin, and what is blockchain, and what is crypto, and where is it going to go, and how is it going to apply to our life in the next, within the next 5 years and within the next 10 years. All right, so let's go in and see what else they have to say.
Spread the full gamut of everything you can imagine, and so we do think of it as an ecosystem. Again, I'll go back to the internet analogy. In 1994, as a venture capital firm, it would have been a good idea to take the internet seriously, and it would have been a good idea to invest in a cross section of internet infrastructure companies, internet application companies, internet content companies. You could have made a whole series of bets. The venture firms that did do that did extremely well. And so our goal here is to do that, basically basically build a portfolio of diversified bets in all the different areas of the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think so on certain things we're looking at specifically. One of the things we've thought a lot about is that Bitcoin is like an inverted pyramid right now. There's a lot of news coverage nowadays, right? And there's an increasing number of companies and investors. There's relatively few people who are working on the core protocol and that kind of activity, right? Like not that many developers who are actually working on github.com/Bitcoin/Bitcoin. And so there's two kinds of vehicles that we're looking for in particular to fix that. People in the audience might be interested in doing things like this. So one is like a Red Hat for Bitcoin, right? So Red Hat was a seminal company in the early days of the internet, founded in 1993. They professionalized Linux development, creating both user-friendly Linux distributions as well as later Red Hat Enterprise Linux and enterprise-friendly distributions. So a vehicle like that, a Red Hat for Bitcoin, I think would be a very interesting thing to fund and to look at, something that had a critical mass of core developers. And while in theory, a consulting company may not make that much money, in practice, Red Hat has made it's an $11 billion market cap. And I think there's very few things that are going to grow like Bitcoin consulting over the next 3 to 5 years. Everybody's going to need a wallet on their website to accept payments. It's going to be something where millions of websites are going to be retrofitted to accept this. You're going to get it into the Internet of Things. You're going to get it all over the place. So Bitcoin consulting is a growth area. Moreover, there's all kinds of new ways to monetize 20 years later. On the internet, you could have a Red Hat for Bitcoin that, say, had ads or affiliate codes on the download site for the Bitcoin wallets. You could do things like Teespring to monetize. There are many different ways to monetize it, and Bitcoin itself gives ways to monetize new monetization models for open source. And the second kind of company that we'd like to fund, in addition to Red Hat for Bitcoin, is like an Underwriters Laboratories for Bitcoin. So Underwriters Laboratories does kind of electronic certification, like safety testing and so on. So development of something along the lines of PCI compliance standards for Bitcoin, as well as the inspections to kind of check that security and stuff like that is well done on these kinds of sites, I think is going to be a very important company that's going to come out there. And the thing about that is we've already had that sort of organically happening. Part of that, like recently Coinbase and Blockchain did a home and home, where each of them went and looked at each other's security and then published the results and so on. And I think an organization like that sets up, that productizes it, is going to be pretty important. So those are two things in particular that we're thinking about.
Okay. So there you go, everybody. That is some deep technical info for some billionaires. I did a little bit of research on Marc, and it looks like he's a billionaire basically, and he's relatively young, certainly younger than the older billionaires that just aren't really buying into the Bitcoin and crypto thing. But I think Marc Andreesen was born in like 1970 or something like that. In any case, let's go ahead and I'm going to go into. I want to just kind of show you here. So an article I found. So it looks to me like that's the actual Andreesen Horowitz. Okay. So it looks to me like their firm now manages a 16.5 billion, right? And of that, they actually just launched a $515 million crypto fund, right? And so if you actually do that math, 515, divided by 16,500. It's about a 3.12% exposure, for their company, on crypto. So if you take a look, this is their company backing bold entrepreneurs who are building crypto companies and protocols. So if you take a look at it, this is their website. Andreesen Horowitz. This is their website, and this is their crypto team. It's pretty big. And then you take a look at their actual portfolio. It's a lot of companies that they have right there. So it's a lot of exposure they have. So yeah, so there you go. So hopefully you enjoyed some of that technical side. I mean, I don't really have too much of uber mechanics of Bitcoin and how it's going to change according to Marc. I mean, it is a long fireside chat of 45 minutes, but in terms of reviewing that whole clip, I don't feel like I really saw a lot of mechanics that are going to illustrate to us why Bitcoin is going to be so much of a part of our life and crypto in, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years. I do understand more about the blockchain and how the blockchain could potentially affect something like real-time stock trades. So we can go from trading plus 2 business days to just real-time stock trade clearing, right? So hopefully you like that about Bitcoin. And again, I'm doing my best to really go to the tech community so that the tech community community can explain to just everyday person, what this Bitcoin is all about. So I'm going to put a link below, everybody. I've got a new blueprint that I've been working on, and it's on credit, financial independence, online investing, and also generating income online. And it's only $7. Check it out below. Thank you so much.